Hey guys, it's Sarah,
And Alan.
and today we are doing the Define Me music tag.
We were tagged by Fat Man in the Beard. So you have 5 questions. I'll state each question before we give our answers. We'll let Sarah go first, then I'll go. So the first question is preferred music genre.
Which is really hard for me to pick just one because I don't really have one specific genre that I listen to the most. I like all different kinds of music and it kind of changes based on my mood. But some of my favorite bands are mostly punk, some goth, rockabilly. I'm gonna say David Bowie because I think he's his own genre of music. He's just that amazing. But I can't just pick just one genre of music. I love all music except for country. Frickin' hate country.
All right, and with that, country, we don't categorize people like Johnny Cash, Loretta Lynn. They're not country. They
To
did
us.
they did their own thing back in the day.
Mhm.
They were original punks, kind of.
Yep. Kind of
So-
paving the way for.
Yeah, Johnny Cash is punk all the way. Now with me, when I answered it, it is hard to pick a simple one genre. I think you'd almost have to be a robot to pick one genre, or not all up there in the head. But I've always listened to punk, goth, and industrial. So that's how I categorized it. But that's mainly what I listen to. A little bit of heavy metal, a little bit of black
Yeah.
metal, but it's what I listen to. So now the second question is most memorable or meaningful song, and I think we both picked a memorable song and a meaningful song.
Yep.
So
My most meaningful song was Hurt, the cover of Nine Inch Nails that Johnny Cash did, just because I love that song so much. And it was actually the first song that Alan sang to me while we were driving once. So it stands out to me. My most memorable song is Nick Cave and Kylie Minogue, Where the Wild Roses Grow, because that was actually playing in the truck during our first date. So that's my most memorable song.
now for me, the most meaningful song is a cover of Get Out of My Dreams and Into My Car, Billy Ocean song, the cover that Guar did, because that was actually our wedding song when we got married. Most memorable song, it's got to be Party Time by 45 Grave, because I, as a kid, watched Return of the Living Dead all the time. For the longest time, I didn't like the original version of that song. I only liked the song that was in the movie, which I don't know if you know, they're two different songs. And as soon as I hear that song, as soon as I hear someone say party, I'm like, oh, it's party time. That song kicks in my head, and that scene of the zombie coming up out of the ground. So that's very memorable to me. A really close second would be Goo Goo Muck by the Cramps in Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, because that was the first time I actually heard the Cramps. So, and on to question number 3, which is another really hard one, and I'm sure they're not in any specific order for me at least. Top 5 albums.
Okay, so my top 5 albums, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. My top 5 albums, and it goes from number 5 down to 1. 5 being, the furthest one, but Nirvana, Nevermind. I really, really like that album. That was the first Nirvana album I ever bought. The second would be the Cramps, Songs the Lord Taught Us. Third is Sisters of Mercy, Floodland, the 1987 album. I love Sisters of Mercy. Third is Rob Zombie's newer album, Electric Warlock Acid Witch Satanic Orgy Celebration Dispenser. I actually had to write that all out because there's no way I can remember all of that. But I, excuse me, I think I'm getting sick. I really, really like that album. Especially Teenage Rock God. I love Rob Zombie. We saw 31 last week, and we've been ranting and raving about it ever since.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. I really hope they come out with an unrated version, because I want to see all the scenes they had to take out in order to get that R rating, because he had to edit, 3 times?
Yeah.
So 3 times just to get an R rating, so that he could show it in theaters. So, but I love Rob Zombie. He's awesome. And then number 1 would be Susie and the Banshees, Juju. I love Susie and the Banshees. I think Susie Sue is just awesome. She's a huge influence on music and culture, and influencing the Batcave genre of goth, and just being a really cool ass chick. I love Susie.
So now mine are not in any order. Any one of these could be number 1. You know, I'm going to say the Misfits, Earth AD, you know, because that was like one of the first hard-hitting albums that they did. You know, it defined, you know, there wouldn't be Metallica without that album. There wouldn't be all that stuff. They were influential on every band after that album came out. And when that album came out, they were already broken up, so, you know. Second one I picked is actually the same as Sarah's second one, Cramps, Songs the Lord Taught Us, just because the Cramps are an amazing band. You know, there's not much you can't make fun of that band. There's nothing to make fun of, because they went into the studio knowing what they want to do, and they did it. You know, and most of their songs were covers of 50s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just covered songs and then put like crazy horror movie lyrics and shit on top of it.
Plus, to me, the Cramps kind of personify everything that's punk. They didn't give a shit. They
Yeah.
did what they wanted to do, and they didn't care what anybody else thought. I mean, you look at all the shit that Lux Interior did on stage.
Yeah, he ain't give a
He didn't give a fuck. You imagine all the amazing things he would have done if he hadn't passed away so soon. I mean,
lost a great one with him.
yeah.
Number 3, I picked TSOL, their Dance With Me album. I love that album. I listen to it all the time. You know, TSOL, they're a really good band. You know, Code Blue. Any song about necrophilia is amazing. Number 4, I picked Peter Murphy. One of his newer albums, Ninth, because when I first listened to it, it blew me away at how he is, you know, I'm going to say almost past his prime, yet this put him back in his prime, and it redefined him and put him in like a whole new category for younger audiences to love. And every album he does, he just redefines himself. He finds a new sound. So, you know, I love Peter Murphy. Number 5, I had to pick 45 Grave, Sleep in Safety. It's a great album. It spans everything from punk to hardcore to surf punk and, you know, everything in between. It's just a great album, so I had to throw that on there. But there's like so many other albums, you know, I could throw on here, you know. I could throw on like any Skinny Puppy album or Ministry, maybe the first 9 Inch Nails album, you know, early KMFDM could have went on here. anything. You know, the Sid Vicious 3-song EP could have went on here, but these were ones that I just chose. You know, I could have thrown every album by Ghost on there because they're a really good
they're
band.
amazing.
I could have thrown on any soundtrack from Goblin.
Zombie.
Yeah, the Zombies, great.
I think it was really hard for both of us to pick 5 albums because there's
Yeah.
so many amazing artists out there.
So, and then question number 4, favorite band and artist. So we both answered band and artist.
Yep.
And yet again, this was pretty hard, but at the same time, pretty easy. So,
For me, my favorite band is the Misfits. I love the Misfits. I was kind of a little heartbroken that they weren't doing any reunion shows around our area because I would love to go see them play live. Hell, I'd even take the kids with us. But just amazing. And the fact that they had so many issues and they were able to come back together with Glenn and Jerry putting aside their differences it's awesome. But my favorite artist that I picked, like solo artist, would be the late, great David Bowie. I love David Bowie. He just personifies being an individual, doing what you want to do. I mean, the man described himself as a freak, which I think resonates with a lot of people out there because we all feel like freaks at some point in our lives. There's something all of us have that sets us apart from one another, which is not a bad thing. It's an amazing thing because if we were all the same, life would be really boring. But his music just touched so many people, and I think the world lost a great one with him.
agreed. So, favorite band for me, and I've always said this, it's a toss-up between the Misfits and the Cramps. Any day, you know, the Misfits could be better. Any other day, the Cramps could be more, in my opinion. But they're both just great bands, and I've listened to them forever, since middle school. Now, favorite artist, this was really hard, but I had to go with Peter Murphy, the guy who copied David Bowie. But I went with him because of, he did, the Bauhaus, and they were genre defining. They did the punk, the goth, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, with his solo career, he's done everything. He's worked with Nine Inch Nails all the way through KMFDM and on, and I don't think he's ever going to stop. But, like a close second would be Nick Cave, because I really like how, his earlier bands, like the Birthday Party, I believe, they were just crazy. And, he went from being goth to being like almost pop. And, he'll do like a little country western stuff. And, he just defies everything, And, he has like other bands like Grinder Man, and he always tells a story when he sings. So he was a close second, but I definitely went with Peter Murphy as first. And the last question. First album buying and the first album owning.
Okay. So I kind of switched it around. I put down the first album I owned, which was a Hanson album my mother bought for me when she was still trying to influence my musical tastes. I think I listened to like maybe 5 seconds of it and then threw it away. I think it was that first album they did with that stupid fucking MMMBop song on it. I don't know, I was like 8 or 9 years old and I hated it. The first album I ever bought was a secondhand Marilyn Manson album that I found out at FYE one time when I was at the mall with some friends, and it was the Mechanical Animals album. I only played it at nighttime when my mother was at work because I knew if she found out I had it, she would throw it away. Which is what ended up happening. About 3 weeks later, I came home and she had been in my room and found the album and made me crack it in half and then throw it away. Yeah.
Should have cracked the Hanson in half.
But that was my first album I ever bought, and I loved that album. I was a little heartbroken. I think I actually cried once I got up to my room after that, but
Now, the first album I ever owned, I actually won through a radio DJ thing. And it was actually 2 albums. I'll say both of them. But the one that I wrote down was, I don't know if you remember, in the early 90s, there was a band called Dead Eye Dick. And they had this dumb song, Modern Girl or something. I don't even remember. That is the first album I physically owned. The second would have been the Erasure album that came out at that time, which was horrible. But I got both of them for free through the local radio station. Now, the first album I ever actually bought was Guar's first debut album, Hello. And I bought that on cassette tape because it was the only way you could get it. And it blew me away, and it defined me for generations to come. So, you know, being a young lad falling asleep to Guar in your ears. Yeah. Got in a lot of trouble because of that. But that was the Define Me music tag.
Yep.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed our comments and our picks.
So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us what your favorite music is or what defines you. We would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
So, should we tag anybody?
Nah, we're not into
Nah?
tagging. If people want to
Aw.
tag us in other videos, that's alright.
Yeah, that's fine. Tag us. Let us know what you're into. Or if you have any suggestions for further videos, hey, shoot us a comment. Let us know. Talk to you later, guys.
See ya.
Bye.